The Briscoe School site has long been a home to public schools. In 1869, the Methodist Episcopal Church began building the Ashland College and Normal School. Building was delayed due to lack of money and was not finished until 1872, when J. H. Skidmore finished it as a private enterprise. It was named the Ashland Academy, but it soon closed under the financial load. In 1878, it was reopened as the Ashland Academy and Commercial College. This too failed. In September 1879, the Methodist Church took it back as the Ashland College and Normal School. It was to have a 6-year course leading to the bachelor's degree, but again, it failed. Started once again in 1882 under the leadership of M.G. Royal, it survived for many years, gaining recognition by the state of Oregon in 1885. The stone in the lower right-hand corner is still in place today near the cypress tree on the corner of Laurel and North Main. It was used as a mounting stone. Students stood on the stone to mount their horses. High school classes were moved to the Academy building in 1890, and it served as the high school from 1890 until after the new school was completed in 1904. This slide was taken immediately upon completion of the building. The old academy, showing just to the rear, was sold for $50 in 1904. The new high school, featuring a 3-tiered fountain in front, housed not only high school students from the old academy building, but elementary students who had been attending the North School, which was located between Nursery and Coolidge Streets. The high school was later renamed the Washington School, and in 1909 the classrooms were so crowded that the one-room building in Chautauqua Grove, located on the site of the present playground, had been rented for the 6th grade overflow. It had been only 5 years since the completion of this new school, and there was already talk of building another. In 1911, George A. Briscoe was elected as Ashland's superintendent and served in that capacity for 28 years. On November 14, 1911, a new high school building was completed, relieving the overcrowding in the Washington School. By 1941, the Washington School was deemed unsafe and antiquated. Superintendent Ted Norby was convinced that it should be replaced by a new and modern grade school building. Plans for such a building were prepared, and voters were to decide on a bond issue of $90,000 for acquisition of land and construction of a new building. But it was not to be. Voters defeated the plan. This was the first Ashland defeat of a school financing plan since the first tax was levied in 1857. Mr. Chester helped the PTA convince the district of the overcrowded, unsafe condition of the school. He remembers the toilets that were operated by spring seats. As soon as the child got off the seat, it would spring back and water came crashing down. Mr. Squire said some of the first graders never got used to it. They were scared spitless to go in there. Finally, on April 25, 1949, the first brick of the school, to be named the George A. Briscoe School, was laid by George Briscoe himself. He is standing in the front center of this slide next to his wife. Chester Squire is in the front, second from the right. The new building was dedicated on December 11, 1949. In the process of tearing down the Washington School, the fountain was torn down also, and in 1989, Dr. Carl Hesse, principal of Briscoe School, began to track down the whereabouts of the fountain remains and began a restoration project which came to include Ashland High School seniors Jeremy Reed and David Harrington. David Harrington reports on his discoveries and involvement.
When I first saw the fountain, the swans in the base were in one piece, but the bowls and pedestal were separate. The parts were badly rusted, and the water feed pipe was badly clogged with rust. The first step was to begin cleaning the swans. I used a large, handheld wire brush to scrape off the old paint. For the little cracks, I used a screwdriver to get the paint out. While I was wire brushing the interior of the base to eliminate the buildup of rust, I discovered the name of the manufacturer. J.W. Fiske, number 21 and 23, Barclay Street, New York. This was very exciting because I didn't expect it, and it just appeared. This gave us our first clue to track down the missing bowl, if it could be replaced, or a new made. While interviewing Dr. Hesse, the current principal of Briscoe School, on January 18, 1990, I learned that in 1904, Briscoe was not an elementary school. It was a different building, called Washington High School. He said that when they tore down the building in 1949, they also took down the fountain, but instead of installing it again with the new building, they stored it in the maintenance garage and basically forgot about it. Dr. Hesse gave me a letter that he received from Lawrence Powell, the son of the janitor who worked at Briscoe in 1949 when the fountain was removed. He wrote that the fountain was a gift of the first graduation class of 1904. He was obviously very excited about restoring and reinstalling the fountain.
Mr. Lawrence Powell, a former student of Washington School, reflects upon the fountain and its restoration.
In regards to the proposed restoration of a water fountain on the grounds of Briscoe School in Ashland, kindly allow a few remarks from one with personal knowledge of same. The fountain was set in a reflecting pool and was supplied with continuous water and drainage. Surrounded by lawn and trees, it was located between building and street. Date of installation could have been 1904, the same as the building itself. A small marble plaque at the base, according to memory, read, Class of 1904. That would have been the first graduating class from that building of the Ashland High School. From my student days in the 1920s at Washington School, I recall innumerable details of the building and the grounds due to my involuntary position of assistant to the custodian, my father. With my help, he was released to work at home or elsewhere. It was he who thought the fountain would be more attractive by painting the swans, which formed the base. Many were the remarks of folk who said they had never before noticed that detail. You should know of my excitement upon hearing about the intention to reinstall this historic and lovely fountain. My sister, Mrs. Ruby Mason, also shares this feeling. Respectfully, Lawrence Powell.
In refurbishing the fountain, Jeremy and I had to make small repairs of pieces of metal that were missing. In one case, we had put a corner on one of the three swans, but when assembling the fountain pieces, we discovered that the piece we created was the wrong shape. We had to break it and redesign it so it would fit. I believe the project was worthwhile for me. The fountain was really rusted out when I first saw it. Now, after many hours of work by Jeremy and me, it is a workable and attractive historical addition to Ashland. I will enjoy driving by the fountain for many years to come, knowing that I made a contribution to Ashland's history. Thank you very much.